This is the story of Cousin Grumpy in the Pork Chop Review. And just one of the great acts that I got a chance to work with. And I got to work with Cousin Grumpy several times, actually, when I was working out of Chicago. And but the most memorable time was in Rockford, Illinois. And they have a beautiful theater in downtown Rockford, which the city bought, much like our Chemo Theater here in Albuquerque, except that their theater has a lovely Wurlitzer organ that rises up from the pit so that you can have live music for your shows or for your movies, or it was a vaudeville house that they revived. And so my wife and I got a job at the Rockford Theater for a big company party and show, circus show, and my wife Feathers the clown. Yes, I married Feathers the clown. That's another story. But anyway, Feathers was in charge of the finale of the show. And the finale of the show was going to be what we call the balloon barrage. And what it was is we had blown up, maybe 200 or 300 long, thin balloons. They were already inflated. And the idea was at the end of the show that we'd bring all these balloons out onto the stage, and we would shoot them into the audience. We'd put our finger in the balloon and let it go, and the balloon would sail out because they were long, 3-foot balloons, and they sail out into the theater, and we get 100, 300 of them going at once, and as they come down, we ask the people in the audience to do the same thing. So at one point, you just have balloons flying all over in a big space. It's called the balloon barrage, so that's our finale. So we're waiting to do that in the wings to go on, and the headliner was Cousin Grumpy in the Pork Chop Review. And Cousin Grumpy had this pig act, trained pig act. And you know, pigs are smarter than dogs. This is the myth of animal kingdom. And pigs are pretty smart. And Cousin Grumpy said that he had one big pig that was the main attraction. And the pig had a slide. It would go down, and it jumped over a hurdle. And then at the end, Cousin Grumpy said that it was going to sing "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window?" And yes, Cousin Grumpy got down around this pig like this, and he started to sing "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window?" And at the point where the dog would go bow wow, he would squeeze the pig. And so, how much is that doggy in the window? The pig would squeal. And just when you think, oh my God, how could it get any better than this? He gets to the end of his show, and he brings out this lovely, cute little baby pig. Little baby pig. Nothing could be... It's getting worse and worse. You don't want to follow an animal act, and especially you don't want to follow a cute baby pig. I mean, and the audience is just going crazy. Ooh, like they'd never seen a pork chop. And, ooh, isn't that cute? And it was cute. And all of a sudden, a large stream of water shot out of this little baby pig in a big arc up into the air and down, splat, onto the stage. And the audience just went to pieces. Like this was the height of entertainment in Rockford, Illinois. This was the whole purpose of having the lovely Wurlitzer in the theater be revived by the city. I mean, nothing could be better. This made it all worth it, you know. And kind of made up for their life in Rockford, as a matter of fact. So, we had 2 shows to do with this company. So after the first show, I went up to Cousin Grumpy. I said, Cousin Grumpy, I said, that's disgusting. I said, I have been in show business a long time, but I've never seen anything like that. I said, I have to follow that. The stage is wet. I said, he said, well, the pig is not really urinating. I said, oh? He said, no. He said, one time the pig did. And it was really funny. And I had to leave it in the act because it was so funny. In fact, what could top it? Let's face it, you know. And he said, what I have is a turkey baster under the little pig. And so I'm controlling the pig urination. I said, well, that's really not any better. I mean, there is a hygienic feature, I'm sure, wherever you got that water. But still, and well, nothing could be done about it. I mean, the little baby pig was the headliner. You know, what can you say? And that, my friends, is the story of Cousin Grumpy and the Pork Chop Review. Balloon animals. Well, choking hazard. And they always think that it's the children that are going to choke on the balloon. They always think that it's the children that are going to choke on the balloon. But it's not. It's the clown choking on the balloon. So also they have powder in them. It's very harmful if you blow them up. That powder goes into you. Very, very... That's why clowns have funny voices. Oh yeah, you could get an eye put out. You could blow up the balloon, it could snap back and hit you in the eye. Everyone's having fun, then someone gets an eye put out.
Tony, what happened the night your car almost burned?
Yes, it was quite an adventure. It was St. Patrick's Day 2 years ago, and I remember it well. I was sound asleep, and at, I would say, midnight, the alarms in the building went off. Very loud. Big bell right outside this door. And so I was sound asleep, and you know, when you're sound asleep, you don't know what's real and what is in your dream. And so I hear these bells, and I wake up, and they're ringing. It's loud. And I roll over in bed, and I look out the window of my bedroom, and there's a gigantic wall of flames. I mean, gigantic, maybe shooting into the air 500 feet. And when I went to the window to look, it was the entire length of the parking lot, which is probably another 500 feet behind a wall. So I saw giant flames behind the wall of the outdoor parking structure. So I thought, I don't know if that's real or not. And it was exploding. There were big boom, boom, boom. Gas tanks were going off. And it sounded like fireworks. Gas tanks and guns that had been left in the vehicles were going off. But I couldn't sort it out right away. So I went to the bathroom, and then I came back and I looked again, and sure enough, it was real. It was burning like crazy. And I heard people running down the hallway. Thump, 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 real loud. And nobody was banging on doors or yelling to get out of the building, but obviously chaos. And there was no smoke in our building. The fire was over here in the parking lot, really 100 feet at least away from the building, but still very intense heat. It was burning the trees in the yard. So by the time I got dressed and made it out downstairs, on my way downstairs, most of the residents had already gotten out of the building.
So I was you got dressed, you didn't run out in your bathrobe and
No,
slippers?
I got completely dressed and casually walked out the door and got on the elevator, which is electric. You know, when the alarms go off, you're not supposed to get on the elevator. And it was working, and I
told several people that got on the elevator with me what I'd seen out my window, and they were in shock. I said, the parking lot is on fire. All of the cars, every car is on fire out there. Never forget the look on my neighbor's face. He said, oh my God, no, you're kidding me. And so then when we got downstairs, I saw all the residents were out in front of the building, were out of the building. But I didn't join them. I went out the back door of the building because my truck was parked back there in that parking lot. And I wasn't sure it was gone yet. And so I went and I walked back, and it was very intense heat and very bright light as not just the cars, but the roof on the structure had caught on fire also. And flames were rolling now under the portal that the cars were parked under. It was like a furnace. And the police had set up a barricade in front of the gates, but I was in back of the gates because I'd come out the back door of our building. And they were trying to calm down Mama D because her bike was in that fire. And she had tried to get it, and she tipped it over. And she couldn't lift it. It's 800 pounds. And so they had to take her kicking and screaming out of that fire because she was not going to give up that bike. And so they were very distracted with her, and that allowed me to slip behind them and into the parking structure, and I could see through the flames that my truck was sitting against the fence, not burned yet, but it was coming. The flames were coming. It was rolling up towards the front from the back. All the cars were exploding along the way, and I had to walk. I then walked calmly through under both structures that were on fire because it hadn't reached this point down here yet. But I could see it. As I looked down, I could see this angry, rolling fire, exploding cars, and like Apocalypse Now. You'd never seen anything like it, like the end of the world. And so then I walked out, and I had my keys, and the light was so bright that I couldn't find the keyhole because it was coming right at me, and it was getting hotter. And I got in my truck and backed up and headed for the gate, which was closed. And when I got to the gate, I realized it's an electric gate. It may not even open. I may have to run the gate. But it didn't. And another car was in back of me trying to get out also. And the gate just slowly click, 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 opened. And out we went onto the street, and there was a big crowd of people across the street at the bar who had been watching this big fire, and they cheered as I came out and off the parking lot. They couldn't believe it.